to Before You Tank, thriving in an industry that sucks. We say it sucks because 98% will fail. Our mission is to make sure you don't. Hey guys, welcome back. We've done 2 podcasts. This is our 3rd.
We're back for more.
Yay, guys. Thank you so much. And welcome everybody to Before You Tank, survive in the industry that sucks. With a new motto that we want all things positive to come our way. You guys, I'm giddy. I'm so excited about this topic. I've been so excited for a week
We've been
now.
waiting for this one.
I'm sitting here so psyched, and I'm holding dynamite because it is going to blow your mind. You guys, and I do apologize because I do get over hyper, but excited. But this is so big. So we told you last time we got together how to work non-linear, how to do all the functions together. Again, we're going to design it, we're going to get feedback, and then we're going to patent the correct item that we've designed, that found feedback for, and whatever. So we're really excited. And I am the queen of fake it till you make it, and we went into all that. So I love that. But this rule is what's going to make really solid decisions. So I love to make my decisions based on numbers in this industry. For me, that's it. So I work, when people hire me, they pay me a down payment and then I get 10% of what I make them. So I'm all about how do I make my 10% huge? And so obviously we're looking at your product in a way that's going to make huge success. And so this 1/5 rule, which is what I made up, you guys, I don't know what they really call it in the real world. It is the game changer. It is truly the reason you will succeed or you won't, or how you'll get a licensing deal or you won't. And this is, and I know Keith will tell you the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're selling online or if you're selling it through a retail store, 1/5 rule applies. But what's so fun is that you can do all of that. You can fake all that. When I say fake it, you can gather all that information and have an answer to know whether or not you should run like heck or you should follow through with your product. So, drum roll. All right, you guys. The 1/5 rule, I'm so excited. The 1/5 rule is this. When you have a product, you have this hot new product, and you know that it is going to retail for $100. And we're going to talk about how you got to that retail in a minute, but you know this thing will sell for $100. You know that you've asked every friend you have. Hopefully you've asked a buyer, what would it retail for? It's $100. We know it's $100. Now we know 1/5 of that is $20, which means you have to manufacture, ship it, land it, delivered for $20 or less. That's it. That's as simple as it gets, right? So for it to retail for $100, it has to cost $20 or less. You guys, and I don't mean $20 to manufacture it, and then you add $5 for shipping and $12 for tariffs, and because you guys, I hear this all the time, so I'm being dramatic, but it's huge. It has to be done, sealed, delivered at $20.
It really is. And I bet if you asked 10 people about their products, like, hey, what's your planned margin? What do you manufacture and deliver for if it's a $100 price point? I bet you get 10 different answers, right? Everybody's got a different understanding of, well, it needs to be this or that. But
and I'm shocked. And I know Puan's going to tell us this. Go ahead, tell us what's the big question that you ask when I come with my new product to you.
How much you want to sell it for?
Exactly, so that you can build it.
Yeah, because it's like my favorite term, why? If you don't know how much you want to get that product on the shelf, I'm not going to design it, because I can design this thing for $2, I can design this thing for $200 with all the things, but how much you actually going to sell it for, right? So I think that's a very important question for any product developer. If he doesn't ask you that how much a product is going to sell for, you really need to discuss that, or you really need to look for something else, because as a product developer, it's very important for me to develop for the cost. And
that's something that is so important, because that's a cost that you do have a lever for, right? Mm-hmm. Like you could actually change that. Whereas if you went to somebody and you're like, hey, I'd like you to change shipping rates for the entire, you can't change shipping rates. They're going to change on you for sure. Tariffs. And exactly. You're going to have to deal with it. But
you can
starting.
design
But it's
it.
not only shipping rate. Like people don't understand. Like I think you mentioned it very well. Everything is one fit. Like there is a fees because once you send the product to like I believe that you mentioned that Amazon or some other thing, they charge their fees separately. So that bites onto your profit margin. So I think it's like every single thing you need to be really careful. So 1/5 is a really perfect rule to design a product. It's tough, but I think it's a really good start point.
It's so profoundly simple, but I'm now going to define it. So we're going to explain it so everybody can kind of understand it better and why. So first, I think the best way to address it is let's determine what the retail is, okay? Because I hear this all the time. Well, I would pay $100 for my product, but everybody else may only pay $29.95. I mean, I'm just saying reality is that, again, buyer feedback is huge because a buyer will tell you right on the shelf. But what I like to use, it's kind of what I coach my clients to do, is I like Walmart. Because you guys, if you can get in Walmart shit, you can't make that thing cheaper than Walmart, right? I mean, Walmart has it down to a science. The cool part about Walmart, though, is that they take a lesser margin. Okay, so we'll talk about a margin in a minute so you understand what that means, but we're going to talk about that price. So I like to use my fishing pole rule. I don't know why I got excited about fishing pole, but if you go into the fishing pole section at Walmart, you're going to see 6 of them. Okay, and you guys, there'll be some that are the high flute and it sells for $199, and then you're going to see some that are sell for $29.95, right? And then there'll be some variation in between. Sometimes the variation is just company brand, but most of the time it has a better feature or it's got something added. I think we all agree, we understand that. So we're looking at a fishing pole, and your fishing pole has a piece of mechanics that's added to it that the second it hits the water, the fish get them. I mean, that's just freaking perfect, right? So you know that it's better than anything on your shelf, okay? But I know that you now want to say to me that mine's $799 because everything can, but it's not, okay? Can we all agree that it's not? Because your value of your incredible piece is not relevant to non-excited, non-emotional purchasing, right? So in real life, it's $199 for the last great thing. You might be $249, right? Do we all agree? You're going to be a little bit better. Unless you're like a Chanel. You guys, I'm not saying that you can't do high end, but let's ask Chanel what they spend on marketing. Okay, how much do they spend to brand their product? So they spend, you guys, I'm kind of making a joke, but the point being is you're going to spend it somewhere. So you want to put a product on the shelf that's going to be valued at what somebody truly, truly will pay for it. Okay, so I like Walmart, cheapest products on the planet. They have low margins. So let's talk margin. So when I say a margin is when you sell a product to an average, let's say a mom and pop boutique, you're downtown, most retail little locations. They mark your product up 100% or a 50% margin. So that means that if you sell it to them for $50, they're going to sell it to the retailer for $100.
Yep.
Okay, so now you've sold it for $50. That's your wholesale price. Well, what if your cost was $50? You have no profit. So that is why we're still happy because we're at $20. And now you have $30 to make. So that is what we call margin. Some, which Keith is going to tell us, people think that you don't. When you sell wholesale on an average, I can get from retailers anywhere from 42 to 62%. So you guys, if your margin is 62%, my 55, and I can't do the math right now, the 50 just went down to 42, but you're still at 20. So you're still making money. Keith, what is it on Amazon?
Oh man. So that's the interesting thing that I run across a lot of times. Everybody's like, well, I can't get my cost down. I'm just going to sell it online, which is great in a sense that, you don't have that wholesale step in the middle. Sure. Right. But what you do have to consider is, but what are the channels you're using? Amazon's a perfect one. And your payment processing, right? Everybody takes a cut. Amazon can be, there are some people that are losing 40% of their revenue to Amazon.
I've heard 42 to 62%.
It's crazy. Others doing a little bit better. It's a lot of details, right? A lot a lot of buyers and sellers on Amazon will tell you like, it's great because of all the exposure, but it really cuts into things.
It's just like selling wholesale, right? It's
and
just
even if you didn't, then there's, okay, well, I'm just going to sell it direct. That's awesome. Now you get to keep the margin, but you also have to market to get in front of everyone who you want to sell it to. So you have this cost of, okay, now I'm managing inventory and now I'm marketing and I'm building, a huge audience. And
what are they spending for ads buys?
Oh man. I mean, your pricing is just, going up and up and up, right?
Exactly.
Every platform gets more expensive. So, what used to be, a $2 ad on Google is now an $8 ad on Google.
Wow.
Right? So it's just really interesting, especially if you're in a competitive market, right? We talked about earlier making products that are a little bit better than they were before, right? Well, who your competition is.
Right.
But if they're established, they're probably running ads, right? So now you got to compete with them.
And people know their brand.
Right? Yeah.
Right. So what we're saying, you guys, is this $100, it doesn't matter whether you take it online on Amazon or you take it into a retail store, you are paying, you're getting wholesale in reality for this product. So now I want to tell you about something that shocked me the first time I did retail. I'm so excited. I got my product. It's going to retail for 100. We all agree. Now I'm going to wholesale it for 50 and we got to agree, which sometimes that would have been 55, but I got really lucky, so I'm at 50. Then they said to me, okay, well, we can either deduct 10% for your buyback or you have to buy back what doesn't sell. I'm like, what are you talking about? And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to take this huge purchase order. We're going to buy 10,000 units. But if only 6,000 sell, you have to take back your 4,000 units. Or we can deduct 10%. Well, of course, we're going to take $5 off our 50 because there's no way in the world you guys want to set yourself up to have to buy back 4,000 units. So you automatically now just lost 10%. Then your buyer is going to go, well, listen, what about marketing? What are we going to do about you guys marketing? How much are you spending? Well, we want to take 10% off so that we can make sure that we're marketing for you as well. So now you're down to $40, okay? So we're so excited because we know you built it for 20, shipped, delivered, every last penny is at 20. You still have $20.
Yep.
And I know every person out there is going, damn, I want to be the guy that got it wholesale and made it $50 off of it. But you guys understand, they are building their brand. They have a lot of expense to get to that. So they've earned that 50% off of you. So let go of that, because I hear that all the time, because that is not real. So the reason you do 1/5 is because now you still have $20 to succeed.
Yep.
So
it can sound discouraging, right? When you start adding up, all these fees and everybody takes their cut. But in the reality, if you take a step back for a second and just say, well, now that I have this knowledge, I don't need to be discouraged about it. I can go in the right way first. I can talk to my product developer. I'm going to nail that price because when I get there, I'm already prepared. And by the way, if I sell 1 million products at $20,
yeah,
I'm okay with that. I'm good with that.
And because the alternative is you won't sell anything because you're at $35 and you can't. So now, but you've spent $100,000 getting to find out the 1/5 rule that we could have known going out the gate.
And one thing I think maybe you can explain that a little better, but to get that dollar per product for $20, you already spent a lot of money before. Your product development, your market research, your attorney as a fees and everything. So you have that expense happen in the past. So you have to consider that's already there. So when you say making that $20 per product after selling it, part of that is you recovering from your cost that happened in the past.
Oh yeah. So you're saying, I think what you're trying to say is like, let's say you have this incredible product, but you still have tooling. So you got $100,000 in tooling. So if you spread that over your first purchases, this $20 is now to $24, $25. So I want to pull it back home so that we can kind of simplify it again, because we're still at faking it till you make it. Because if you listen to our last podcast, you remember all the tips that we gave you. But if you haven't listened to it, go back to understand faking it till you make it, because we taught you how to do this without spending any money. Okay, so we taught you to get all the way through the phase. So now when you go back to your product developer, after you found the right product, you got your buyer feedback, you're back to your product developer with this price that you know it's going to retail for, and you know it has to come in under $20, he can tell you, it can't be done. There's no way, because your materials that you have to have, and Juan has told me this, but there's sometimes certain materials that you've laid out just will not make that margin. They will not happen. Now, if your product developer has asked you from the start, you don't even have to go back because he already knew. But he could look at it and he's going to say things like Pawan will tell me, well, let's look at other materials. Can we make it out of, instead of injection molding, it can be really expensive for tooling and stuff. Could we do aluminum or whatever it is? And I could be saying the wrong affordability, but you guys get what I'm trying to say is that now you sit down and you develop the product with the materials that work, with the right design style, that now, I just want to remind you this, you're going to put in your patent. Okay, so I just want to make sure, because remember, we haven't patented yet. We're now putting it together. And he's going to come back and give you a real life quote. And if his quote can't make 20, and he's like, gosh, Luann, I've worked so hard, but the best I can do is 38, we're done. Case is over. Yep. It's done. Now, if you don't trust Pawan, and you want to use a second developer or a third developer, please do that. But you haven't spent any money. So you're just working with them to get to the numbers so that you know, does my product have the ability to make profit and to scale? Right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
And
imagine you're at that point and you've spent, a couple $100 to get the materials you need, to get to the folks you need. You've made the phone calls, you've spent your time. And you get to that point and you realize that, well, that's actually great news if you confirm that period, like, hey, this isn't going to work. Because what if you'd already spent $80,000 on tooling and development and inventory, and then you find that impact?
Exactly. Then you realize it's only going to retail for.
That's right.
And you and I have a product together where it was, and I loved his product, and I'm not going to share what the product is, but I love the product. And I came to Keith and I said, oh my God, I love it. I can manufacture it for this price. And tell me how we're going to brand it and get it going. And he goes, oh, Luann, we are not going to be able to sell that product for that price. And I'm like, no, I think I'm borderline with my retailers, but we're not quite there. And he's like, I'm just telling you, perceived value is going to make this really, really, really tough. And I told my inventor from day one, it doesn't matter if my buyers like it, if they won't retail it for the price that we have to get manufacturing down. He's already in it for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we came up with a strategy to take it to market using online direct, because every inventor's answer is, I'll sell it direct, and that way I'll have all that money margin. And now he's got influencers, and even the influencer says, I'm not backing that price, it's too expensive. And now we're starting completely over, and that hurts because, like you said, he's in it for hundreds
and probably years of time. Right.
And years of time.
Imagine if you had that feedback early enough to be able to say, I'm going to change something now about my product, or I'm going to, take a different approach. And so having that from the very beginning could have been life-changing.
In my first month with him, I knew all of that. So I want to talk about this because this is how I put a product together. And whether it doesn't matter what stage I'm at, I have an incredible doctor that I'm working with right now who's been at it for 7 years and spent $500,000. And I'm still doing the same process because we have the same problem. And Pawan is helping me going, I'm sorry, what problem are we solving? And how is this unique? And so we're pulling together. So I just want to hash this so everybody gets it. You're going to think of something that's amazing. You're going to Google it. And when I say Google, we're going to Google patent search it. So we're going to look to see if any other patents. If you want to go to the U.S. Patent Office, you can just type in U.S. Patent Office under search, put what your product is, and see what everything else comes up. There will always be what they call prior art. Download it, call on an attorney, and talk to him about, do I have claims? Can I get it patented? Am I not infringing? Don't spend money. Ask the questions. And then one day we're going to talk about patents more specifically. Now that you know that you have something worth patenting and you got a really cool idea, that's first. Because if you don't, you're done, right? I can't tell you how many inventions I've thought of that have been done 1,000 times. So you're done. So now you got past that. Now you're going to go to, I prefer buyer feedback or prototyping. Either guy's first. You can make either call. Probably prototype because you want to know if it can be made. So now you're going to ask Pawan, can this actually be made? You don't even have to know your feedback on the dollar amount exactly to start, but you guys, we know how to guess. So we can guess. We talked to Pawan. Pawan says, yeah, I think I can actually make that happen. Now we're really excited. We're probably going to buy a sell sheet, do some kind of something cheap, $55 to $100. You're going to have a sell sheet. You're going to send to buyers. Buyers are going to confirm. You're going to ask them. They don't care. Be honest. I have this really cool product. You know, would you be kind enough to give me some feedback? Do you like it? Do you think it would sell for this price? This is what I think. I say this with love. Please be honest and open and realistic when you're sending over your $199 fishing pole. Yours is $249. Please don't ask if it can sell for $799. Please be respectful. Ask them what they think it will sell for. Do they like it? Do they think it will sell? Get your feedback as much as you can. That's what I'm here to do. If I can help in any way, I will. So do that. Get your feedback. Come back and say, oh my God, they love it and they want to see it in the future. Go back to Pawan. No money spent except for your sell sheet. Come back to Pawan and say, listen, I want to pursue now. What do you think my real cost to manufacture is? And that's the scariest question of all. I've gotten to the point, I've done this for so long, I will just I know pretty much right off the bat what I think it's going to retail for. I'll call Pawan and say, do I have a fighting shot? What's it going to cost for me to get it fixed on my prototype, get it prototype, and what per unit? Because he'll tell me right that. Based on that information, I already know, guys, we got a fighting shot or we don't. Or we come to Keith and we go, Keith, this is what I'm up against, okay? I'm borderline. You guys, I say this if you're borderline. If your product's supposed to be 20 and it's 25, we'll have a conversation. If you're something up near 30, you guys, you gotta give up. You gotta walk away. Don't spend any more money. You have $100 in it, you had a lot of fun. But say you're 25. Now we can come to Keith, who does growth strategy, who can help you make the right decision. Do I start at Etsy? Do I start at Instagram? Do I start direct? Right? Am I correct on the way you would go?
Definitely, right? Because you got to step back and look at that plan and really understand, okay, if I don't have a channel in retail, what are the other options, right? You hear a lot of them. There's Kickstarters, there's Amazon, there's all these different ways you can go. And so at that point, you really start looking at what the other strategies are. And your costs may be different, but there still are costs. And so instead of a buyback cost, well, now you've got, an inventory holding cost somewhere, right? Yep. You've still got to have that inventory probably less than you think to kind of get going, especially with early sales.
But you still have tooling to get
the inventory. Yep. And you've got packaging because you've got to put it in something, especially if you're shipping it direct, right? You've got to figure that piece out. You've got the shipping, and you've got the marketing. I think everybody wants to just instantly jump past that and be like, I'm going to make a website. Everyone's going to come. It's like that old, if I build it, they will come.
Exactly.
That will be a perfect
But reality is there's billions of other websites out there. And so how do you get your website in front of the right people, right? Get my product in front of the right people. So there's all those factors to consider. And the costs are going to be there no matter which way you go. But if you look at the kind of product you're making, the kind of audience that it resonates with, and the kind of margins that you might be able to expect and how you position it, then you can put together a plan of which channel you should pursue first. Try to get growth in a meaningful way that is not, spending millions of dollars, and then build on that growth.
Exactly. And that's what we were saying. We're going to have a podcast on budgeting. Yeah. Because what I'm saying to you is that what I want everybody to get, the mind-blowing moment here, is that 1/5 rule. If that 1/5 rule, because you guys, when I take a product to be licensed, that's the first thing they do. Their team just looks at it and goes, is it at 1/5 rule? Okay, we can make profit. And then they determine how much profit, right? That's what we're all going to do when you hit that. But I am here to tell you the mind-blowing part is to run when you don't hit those numbers. Yeah. Do not keep forcing this round peg into the square hole, because that's what inventors do. So when my buyer feedback, and I'm just going to touch on this really fast because that kind of overlaps. When my buyer feedback comes back and I tell my client, they'll go, well, did you tell them this? Did you tell them how it works like this? Did you tell them how cool it is? And I'm like, we did all that in the beginning. When a buyer speaks, you don't resell them the exact same information. You go, oh my gosh, thank you for the help. Because when you thank them for the help and the guidance, they'll give you more, which means they'll let you come back when the product is finished. So now you've got something to do. So So the next step that I think we need to have a podcast on is then how do you do it when you are at the 1/5 roll and you win? But I again, mind blowing. You have no money but a sell sheet, maybe $100 in a new product, and you now know the highest chance of success in a 2% success industry. You guys, is that like the coolest thing ever? Like, I can't even tell you. Like,
You're gonna save some people a lot of money.
I mean, that's our goal. Please, you guys, please email us. Please share information that you got this and you were able to do it, because how many parties have you been to? I mean, I've been doing this 30 years. I don't care where I'm at, somebody's an inventor. And then I end up talking to them, and they're always in it for thousands of dollars. I'm going to tell my one great story because I always have one. I went to a party. I think it was a Christmas party. I went to a party, and of course, like I said, people always, sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit of a rock star because they'll be like, come here, Luann, tell them about what you do for a living, because I do a weird business. And I'm there, and at this party, this woman who I've known for a little while tells me that her son has a product that he's been working on for 11 years. And he wants to borrow $50,000. Do I have an investor for that? And of course, we all have investors in this industry. So I was like, well, can I take a look? I'll take a look and see. I call the son. The son has this really cool military product. So it's really cool. And inexpensive to make. I think he wanted the $50,000 because it was $35,000 for tooling to get him up and going, and then he wanted the $15,000 for marketing. And I was like, all right, cool. Do you mind if I just take a look at it for a few weeks and see what I think? And so I immediately did what I do. And so I grabbed it. I took it to distributors that work with the military, because I got to set up pretty quickly. You can apply to sell to the military, but it takes a year or so. So I said, well, how do I whip that? So I went to companies that distribute products to the military, and I literally got lucky. One was close, and I went in the front door. I had gotten 2 on the phone that said, this is really cool. We would carry this for you. Now, he still has to tool it, and he has to make it, but they were like, we're in. Sign us up. We'll distribute it. And if you don't know what a distributor is, we'll talk about that, I promise, in another show. But they are such a great way for you to get your product out. I walk in a door of a distributor locally. They're like, this is the coolest thing we've ever seen. We would do this. We could sell volumes of this. I always ask, what does a volume mean? Because you guys, you're trying to offset tooling costs. So if a volume is 10,000 units and tooling can be done for 10 grand, then that's a nice exchange. But if your tooling's $300,000 and they're going to carry 1,000 units, are you still making numbers work? Maybe not. So we don't have enough tests to go. But they were like, oh, 10,000 to start, and we could probably sell to all divisions. They were really pumped. I come out the door feeling pretty excited that I can help my client. And I swear to you, I look out, and I'm in this like little industrial parkway, and there's this guy in this little warehouse, and he's just sitting there, and out is popping these plastic things. Well, my product is a plastic tool that uses to help out on the military field. So I wander over, we start having a conversation. This guy's semi-retired from manufacturing, and now he has his own little thing. I show him my little toy. He goes, oh my God, I can make this for 60 cents. Now, first of all, I don't know if you remember, but my last guy's quote was $1.80. So now I got a guy who's just saved him more than half. He can do it for 60 cents. So now I could not feel more excited. So now I got him down to 60 cents. And so he had the tooling cost was probably just about the same as the other guy. I can't remember exactly what it was. So I said to the guy, listen, the guy's a really great inventor. He's had this product for a little while. I've got 3 distributors that want it. And before I could finish, he said, oh, I'd do it. I'd partner with him, no problem. I'll set up the tooling. I'll provide inventory. You guys, we're in business. I now have the manufacturer, the distributors in place. I can't call my client fast enough. You guys, my client quit his job and gave 2 weeks notice. They went in business, and they are now selling this product. I do have to chuckle because he was like, Luann, I think I invoiced him for a nominal fee. And he goes, oh, I've been at this 11 years. Why should I pay you for 3 weeks worth of work? And you guys, I only share that story with you guys in the audience because I laugh, because we listen to these kind of things all day long. And I get it. I know money's tight and blah, blah, blah. But it is those are the moments that we vet and we go, but I got 26 years experience and I did it in 3 weeks and you're living your dream. I wanted $2,000 or something. It was so corny. But, but it was nothing. It was truly nothing. But I took nothing. He went on with life and he has this incredible thing. So one of the topics we really have to talk about is making those partnerships and how to get some free prototyping. Close your ears, pull on. And, and so I just want to share those kind of stories with you because you guys, he had nothing. Literally nothing because he wouldn't pay me my $2,000. So, and he's in business today. So you guys, magic like that happens a lot if you understand the path. Yep. I always turn to Keith because he always clarifies everything for me. Did we make it clear? Did I make that understandable for people?
I think so. I think that was good. I think we leave everybody with just kind of a clear tip on how they go apply this, right? What's their next step for this? What do you think, Pawan?
I think main thing I will say that really you have to understand your product and be smart from the beginning.
Yeah.
Be smart from the beginning. Don't overspend it, but be smart because if you're smart from the beginning, your product will be perfect in the 1/5 of rule. That's what mindset you need to keep in the mind, and then you will have a lot of chances to be success.
I'll build on that too, because I think you hit, really, really important to really understand your product and also understand the go-to-market strategy for that product, right? Because we had a different channel that you picked up on and said, oh man, I don't want to go direct to the military. I'm going to go to these distributors. And so if you're looking at going to Amazon, going to a buyer, going to a distributor, selling it direct online, know which one you're going in for. Still the 1/5 rule, the 1/5 rule, the 1/5 rule. But know that and then have a backup, right? Because let's say he was like, no, I'm going to sell direct to the military. He spent all that time and energy. But having that ability to be flexible, to shift to like, okay, I've got this backup plan, distributors, they're going to be awesome. In some cases, it's, okay, the distributor's not going to carry it. I'm going to go through Amazon if it works. But if you have those numbers and that plan up front, you can apply the 1/5 rule, know that you're good if you go direct. And if you work with the 1/5 rule, you're going to work well online too.
Exactly. And you're going to know when to get out, which is really cool. So if I had any great tip, and we will teach this along the way, is that having been around doing this for so long, I do know angles to do things for free. So a distributor is a cheap way for people to get exposure, to get your product out, that you don't have an investment. You still have to provide a product, but they love your product and they'll take a percentage and you don't have to have front cost. So I do want us to make sure that we keep teaching those things. And I think my other big tip, if I could give people one, and Pawan's probably said it, but when you go to shop for a product developer, and I know Pawan would take everyone if he could, but if you shop, and he's really competitive, I can't even get over how competitive you are. But if you are shopping, please don't tell them up front. Let your product developer ask you the question, what are you wanting to retail it for? Because if he understands that, then you're home free. Because you can prototype a product really expensive, and you can prototype it really inexpensive to fit your goals. And we'll have a whole podcast on that. If they don't ask you that question, please, ask them before you leave. But leave. Please. I love product developers so much. Yep. But don't you think that's the number
what I think
one?
I said it. Be smart because.
Yeah.
It goes with anytime you go for shopping, right? You look for the quality. Same thing with the product developer. You want to make sure the person understands the product because he's developing it. So I think it's a valid way to.
It's a really simple way to
confirm
qualify
that he's qualified. That's the word. Thank you.
Yeah, qualify.
And I think those are the simple questions. Like product development should be not like just this is my product and develop. I will develop this thing for $200 and I'll charge you for $100,000 if you give me. But that's not where you want to spend your money.
Right, exactly.
So I think it's just like be smart. I think that goes along with that.
And I don't want to say it's a tricky way to know if they get it, but it is an interesting way to see it. Because if they don't ask you that as the criteria when they're going down what you want, just like when you ask a manufacturer, if the manufacturer doesn't say to you what quantities, you know that he's not legit. Because manufacturers, it has to make sense. So that's my tip, is to let them ask. And if they don't, then you can leave saying, in the future, you need to know this. And so they'll ask.
It's your money you're spending, so spend it wisely.
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like if they don't ask that, then they don't know how to make it right. And all right, so I think that's it, you guys. I hope we blew your mind. I really do, because in my world, I feel like it's that most important thing that we could ever share, all of this. And now I think we could go from here like crazy. But I hope you guys, please, for us, because we come to do this, we have fun. We're starting to get the hang of it, but we came together to do this because we wanted more success stories on the good things. Like, we took the fake it rule and we didn't spend a dime, and now we are so confident that we're onto something. What if you had a purchase order, right? You went to your feedback, your buyer said, oh my God, we love it. If you can make it happen, it fits all the rules. Do you know how easy it would be for you to get funding? I mean, your world would change. So we want to hear that. Or we want to hear you say, my wife loves me because I spent the $100 and found out the product already exists. Can't tell you how many times that has happened, right? So please, I'm asking you guys, please write in, please share your emails. Someday we're going to figure out how you can actually call, and we'd love to discuss. It'd be fun, wouldn't it, to have a real product in front of us and be able to say, this is what we would do next. And I'm going to leave on that note, but at my last client I took yesterday, I said to him, what would you, I like to use partnerships, and I was like, look, he wants it to be wow and cool, and who would you market that with? Who would you want to bring to the table? And he's like, man, we have a vision of Tom Cruise, because it so fits Tom Cruise. And I was like, done, because you know me, that's my challenge in the world, is I love to shoot for the moon. And he calls me back and he's like, are you serious? Because you got us so pumped. And I'm like, I know it sounds crazy, but my daughter's best friend's roommate just spent 3 months doing IVs for Tom Cruise. So I have an angle in. So you guys, dream big, but do it smart. Everybody agree?
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Come see us next time.